And a very pleasant good morning from Cupertino, California for the 2015 CCCAA Men's and Women's Soccer Championships here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. I am joined by Jeff Stoynoff, joined by Coach Dave LaTourette. And Dave, let's get right into our first matchup here on the men's side, and that will be Lake Tahoe Community College taking on Oxnard. We'll start with Lake Tahoe working at Santa Rosa. You are familiar with Lake Tahoe, so talk a little bit about what the style of play is for them and what they'll look to do today.
With Lake Tahoe, what they are is an international team. A lot of mature players, bigger players, physical players as a whole. And although the engine of their team runs through a couple of California kids, and they're number 7, Ivan Rodriguez, and number 10, Carlo Chucheke, but they have a big English presence on the team and a foreign presence. So physical team, a little more direct at times. We'll look to hold the ball in the team's offensive third just by that physical presence, which will be different than Oxnard.
Right, and we are getting set to get underway, so we will quickly move over to the action and continue our conversation as we get started here in the first semifinal.
And if we watch Oxnard play, it'll probably be a little different style. They'll probably be able to try and be a little more technical, a little more possession-oriented, where Lake Tahoe will not be afraid to put the ball directly into the offensive third like they already have and look for a corner kick. They get a corner kick, and if they get a corner kick, very dangerous on set pieces, corner kicks, long throw-ins, and we'll see that develop as the game goes along, Jeff.
Right, and the first thing that you notice, just purely upon observation, is Lake Tahoe with quite a few more players available, a much bigger roster. So does that impact how Oxnard is going to go about playing, or is this just a question of this is the style they play, this is the pace they're used to going, so they'll just go right from the start?
I think the way that the Tahoe will come out, they'll come out with a lot of pace right away. They always do that anyhow. But to have some depth in their team and to have some physicality and some fitness in their team will make a difference in terms of maybe being able to press Lake Tahoe a little bit, press Oxnard a little bit and press their possession-oriented style. So it might see a little bit of changes, but I don't think Tahoe's going to budge much from the way that they like to play.
It'll be Jimenez on a free kick. In the Lake Tahoe zone, we're just underway here in the opening minute. Sends that one into the box, but the header comes up empty, and it will go back to Lake Tahoe. Andrade's in goal.
Andrades has played the majority of their games this year. They've got a couple other goalkeepers that have played, but he's been kind of their stalwart back there across the season, and he's a pretty calm goalkeeper, pretty confident goalkeeper, was not afraid to come for balls, and he's going to be a key. He's going to have to make a couple big saves today, as will any goalkeeper at this level, as the season moves along for Tahoe to advance.
Both teams take turns misfiring at midfield, and Lake Tahoe goes for the ball, but it'll go back to Oxnard on the far side.
It wouldn't surprise me at all for Oxnard when they get a chance to kind of not so much slow the game a little bit, but as they possess it, try to be a little bit more methodical in the process. So you might at times see, two countering styles as they play.
Take a look at the statistical leaders for Oxnard so far on the season. Raul Gonzalez with possession tries the pass, and it's broken up back to Lake Tahoe. Josh Sapsed had the handle momentarily but lost it. Well, the format here is interesting with the the South playing the North. So these are two teams that have not seen each other as Lake Tahoe starts an attack. And talk a little bit about how much will these teams likely know about each other, and how will that impact how they go about playing?
What I think they'll do, the coaches initially do, that they'll try to call their coaching counterparts and try and get scouts on teams and how they play. But this day and age with social media and with YouTube and with other stuff, some teams will post their games on video. I watched a little bit of Oxnard play with a couple video, so I'm sure that Lake Tahoe has seen that, and they've seen some of the way that Oxnard plays. So if they're intelligent about the way they've done their homework, they use that, and they use that to their advantage.
So Oxnard back in possession near midfield, drops it off for Gonzalez, and they'll go back to Aguilar, swinging it across to Elisa Rares.
what we've seen Oxnard do already, they're trying to find that seam in between Lake Tahoe's midfield and their 4 center backs. And they've successfully found that space in front of the center backs at times already. So we're just not even 4 minutes into the match, and they've successfully found some seams in there and done a nice job possessing the ball.
Looking for Hernandez Puga on a pass, and that one broken up, and they'll retreat back to midfield and start again.
Interesting that as Puga is up front in that seam right there, he's going to be one of their goal scorers. He's got 8 goals on the year, and as Gustavo Navarro has 12. He right now looks like he's coming off the bench, which is interesting for someone that has that many goals.
Yeah, Navarro had a big goal earlier in the postseason as well, helping Oxnard advance. Oxnard's been an interesting case in the postseason. They've really had the draw open up, facing 3 teams in the playoffs so far that were all seeded 10 or lower. So that's been a nice break for a team that's been very solid in recent years but has failed to get here to the state Final Four. On the other hand, they had to overcome a lot of adversity. They lost 5 players due to suspension for the last 2 games. Right. And they were able to win shorthanded in those 2 games. So they obviously come in here very much on an emotional high.
And I think both teams do that. And in Oxnard to do that, for finally break through to get to the Final Four, there's a lot of good soccer here at California Community College. And Oxnard is one of those teams that's historically been there.
Good opportunity out front, and it's misfired wide right. Boy, that was a good pass from Hernandez Puga.
And there's the seam right there that we talked about. And speaking personally, as we play Lake Tahoe this year, our goal was to try and run at their center backs. We thought our pace and our technical players could get around them and get to the end line. And it looks like Oxnard may be trying to do the same thing. But you can also see, too, the response from Lake Tahoe, their emotion that they play with starts to shine through right there as they're frustrated with each other in that situation. Yeah,
it was Jimenez who had a shot nearly point blank. But he only got about 50% of it on the ball there, and he missed it to the right.
And that will be an opportunity that they hope does not come back to haunt them later in the game, because that was square on facing the goalkeeper without any pressure.
Best opportunity so far. Meanwhile, Culverwell with position, and Lake Tahoe has the ball, and that's been a rarity here in the early going.
Right now, their center backs are not afraid to play through their backs, but a little bit of pressure there, and without service, then Tahoe might be able to get themselves in trouble. Culverwell on the ball right now. He's not afraid to look to serve long. Fine players up front.
Long pass to nobody.
Angler looks here in the back, number 39. He's a freshman, and I believe he's out of Springfield, Missouri, or he's from Missouri. Springfield, Missouri. And he looks like he's maybe the pressure of the Final Four. I'm not really sure. He hasn't played a ton of games this year, but he scored a big goal against Feather River. Against Lassen, to get themselves moved on. So maybe the idea that Oxnard here can see that. They put a little bit of pressure on the outside back here, 39, Sam Angler.
On the attack, Hernandez has it poked away. And Lake Tahoe has it back. When we talked about the emotional high that Oxnard comes in on, having won 6 straight and overcoming the suspensions to get here, Lake Tahoe very hot of late as well. They're 15-1-3 in their last 19. And interestingly, the one game they lost was to Feather River, and they led that one 3-1 in the second half. So that was one that they certainly let slip away.
And they were also fortunate enough, they ended up seeing Feather River in the game preceding to this. They were able to turn that around. They tied the game 0-0. They advanced through on penalty kicks, so they're also in that emotional high. And a lot of the guys that are sophomores on this Lake Tahoe team, they thought the team they had last year was the one that was going to take care of business and get here. And I honestly think this Lake Tahoe team is better than last year's Lake Tahoe team. A little bit better technical team overall, but carries the same kind of bite that they're renowned for.
Andre's long kick goes back to Oxnard, and they'll work on the far side, sending it over to Christian Guzman, and he loses the handle. So Lake Tahoe, not a whole lot of time of possession here early on in the first 8 minutes. Of course, I'll remind you that we have men's and women's action here in the CCCAA Soccer Championships here from Cupertino, De Anza College. Mike Zapata over in the stadium. And he has the call on the women's game going on right now.
And if we watch Oxnard right now, it looks like they're playing formation-wise a 4-2-3-1, 4 in the back, 2 holding midfielders. and then 3 across, and then 1 high forward. So a 4-2-3-1, and they're letting Tahoe play in the back a little bit and then deciding and picking their moments when they put pressure on them to try and win the ball back. So far, successful.
Sapsed has that one poked away and stolen. Damian Lopez able to get the handle, and he will work on the near side, tries a pass, but goes right to Sapsed, re-stolen by Hernandez. Good pressure, Lake Tahoe back on the attack with Miguel Prieto.
Prieto had a good game against us down at Santa Rosa Junior College when we played them about a week or so ago. I like him. He played on the left side, good hard player, physical player. Doesn't seem to get into the attack much, but he's a good player. And there you see Tahoe and how quick they're going to come at you. They may not possess quickly, but they can get into the final third, ball to the end line, serve it across, and look to get somebody on the end of it. That's just that's the way that they play.
It was Truheke trying to get something going, but he fired wide of the mark. And we'll see Garcia handle the ball for the first time in goal for Oxnard.
And as a goalkeeper in these kind of games, it's nice to get a touch early in the game, to get your hands on a ball, even if it's just through your feet or something like that, just to settle a little bit and try to be comfortable in the situation.
Oxnard comes in very hot. They started out a little slow too, 0-2-1.
Yep.
In fact, all of the teams here, to varying degrees, with the exception, I believe, of Mount San Antonio College, who we'll see in our next game, got off to kind of a slow start. What is it about it? Maybe just about this season, but maybe is there some work being done early on that gives way to better play later in the year?
And I think it depends. Maybe it's on chemistry, maybe the experience or players that you have, and how that meshes. I know Tahoe has obviously they have some veteran players, but some newer players that came into the system. And they loaded their season up early with the likes of Hartnell, Cerritos, Irvine Valley, teams like that. So for Tahoe anyway, and Oxnard as well, you play good teams early to see where your team's at, and you can bounce back from that. It's tough to bounce back from 2 or 3 losses in the last 3 weeks of the season as opposed to in the first 2 weeks of the season. Good
steal. Meanwhile, on the far side, it's Elisa Rares who is able to track it down for Oxnard.
Jeff, interestingly enough, they just took Carlos Truheke off one of their best players and one of the engines of their team, like Tahoe did. So that's, I don't know if we have an injury, but at 10 minutes into the match, it's interesting.
Truheke, one of the leading scorers on the season. The centering pass comes up empty, and Oxnard able to kick it back out. And this one out of bounds.
And in for Lake Tahoe for Truheke is Ross Brogan. He's a freshman midfielder out of Middlesbrough in England, just like many of their players, very British or English-based team here for Lake Tahoe.
And will that have an impact, on the style of play that we'll see, because it's an extremely international contingent for Lake Tahoe?
I think it has a distinction on the type of play, but also what they bring. A lot of these players are a little more mature. If we probably looked at ages or had a chance to look at them, there's players out here that are probably 20, 21, 22, 23 years old. When you look at it, and I look at just as he's right in front of us right now, Josh Sapsed, he's out of Australia. He looks more like an Aussie rules football player. Big kid, solid kid, strong kid, good pace. So that changes the game as well when you have that maturity, when guys have played a lot of games and they have that kind of maturity, especially when we get later in games and later in postseason like we are right now. That kind of maturity to be able to handle yourself makes a big difference.
Yeah, you talked about the advance in the scoreless win over Feather River. So obviously a defensive battle and likely a physical battle between two teams that really know each other very well. Oxnard on the attack, and the steal made, and Tahoe will come back the other way.
And he'll run at him with pace. He's going to try and get himself to the end line. As Sapp said, he'll look for an early service.
He has Rodriguez working down low, sends it across. Loose ball, one-timer blocked out front. So here comes Oxnard. Guzman has it poked away.
And I think even in just the first 13 minutes, Jeff, we're just seeing two completely different type of styles. None, it's not one is better than the other, but Oxnard obviously going to play a little more methodical, but if it's on quick, they'll play it. But Lake Tahoe's going to try and counterattack. They'll get out of the back quick, and if they can get early service, they're going to look for early service, and a lot of times that service goes to the back 6, the back 12, or the back 18, and they've already found that a couple times today.
Aguilar and Orozco working in the backfield. Now they'll go on the attack, finding Gonzalez. Gonzalez tries to center. Nobody home. Kick it back out, back to Herrera. So Oxnard maintains possession into the 14th minute here in the opening half.
We've already seen Oxnard get in behind Lake Tahoe's back 4 a couple times, and like I said, I think with their technique and maybe some of the pace that Oxnard does have, that's what they're going to look to do. They'll look for the seams to run at their back 4, and they'll also look to get behind them and bring service back across the box.
Aguilar was going for Guzman on the far side, and the pass too strong, so Tahoe gets it back. Now, unless I missed my guess, and I did the research here to the extent that I could, we have Mount San Antonio College coming up, making their 9th appearance in a row here in the Final Four, and the other 3 teams, to the best of my knowledge, have never been.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's impressive. So, and when we see that game, and we'll talk about it later today, Jeff, but I think there's a big experience factor that comes into that. There's a lot of kids in that team, the program, the school, the coaches, that they've been here before. So it's not as big of a daunting opportunity for them. And you can look at it both ways, that they're maybe a little more calm coming in, but maybe, are they as excited as some of the other teams?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because, of course, you'll be dealing with a lot of players that themselves have only been here for a year or two. But is there a measure of confidence that just comes from being part of the program that has so much success year after year?
And I think that's even when you walk in and you make the team at Mount San Antonio College, at Mount SAC, as we like to call it.
Guzman shot from out front, and Andrades gets his hands on it.
You're playing a team like that, automatically you put the jersey on, and there's history, and that's important. As you see here, Oxnard's going to drop back. They're bringing, it looks like, their back 4 and then the 2 and then 4 in front of that. They're just going to kind of hold somewhere around the midfield stripe and then selectively start to put pressure like you see right there. And they've done a decent job of it. They want to try and eliminate the quality service that Tahoe likes to take out of the back.
In the simplest sense here, it seems as though possession has really favored Oxnard early. Talk about Tahoe maybe being somewhat deliberate, a couple of attempted attacks, but they haven't gotten a whole lot going. Is that Oxnard really dominating the action here so far, or is this a question of Lake Tahoe maybe taking their time, feeling them out a little bit, staying pretty safe, and just getting a look at what they're dealing with here early on?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, but I also think it's just the 2 styles. And if you see, we talked about early, is that Tahoe's put pressure going forward. Ivan Rodriguez, phenomenal left-footed service. It's either going to get driven to the near post or it's going to get flighted back 6 and looking for the number 4.
First corner kick today, and that one is inside the post. So Garcia out with it for Oxnard.
And that's where they're dangerous. They're dangerous on set piece. That's kind of their primer set piece, their primer corner kick right there. They'll drive that one near post and even get it flicked through, but you're going to see a lot of those balls go back 6.
Gonzalez goes down in a heap. He was tied up there, I believe, with Engler.
It's one of our first fouls of the game, believe it or not, as we are 17 minutes in.
Looked a little bit like a blocking foul there. That's from the world of basketball, but Engler picks up the foul call, so Oxnard will maintain possession.
Engler had a big goal, like I said earlier, and interesting at the end of that game, he actually ended up with a red card. So it was a game, I believe that was their game against Lassen, which they won, and then ended up having a red card, sat out a game, but he's back in the system for the last 2 games now.
Herrera tries to get the header going, but that one cleared out.
That's big Danny Culverwell in the back there, the big English kid who's that's kind of their style. It's just last year they had a big number 4 that played in the back as well, Josh Trabandi, who did the same type of duty. On the attack, and the sliding save made by Andrades on the shot by Jimenez. Jimenez with a pretty good look, but Andrades on it. And that's probably their 3rd shot from that gap in there, and if they're going to keep looking to shoot, and they're going to get looks in there. So, I would think Tahoe would want to step and start put a little bit of pressure on that ball that sits at about 25 yards out. Lopez still on the dribble, tries a centering pass, and that one cleared away. Miguel Prieto He's a very active player, Miguel Prieto, emotional. So we'll see sometimes that emotion, how long does that adrenaline last in a game like this? But we'll see how that plays out. Good defensive play. They were looking to run back behind their 4, a little diagonal ball through.
And again, it looks like they're just attacking in the middle, as you've talked about, not doing a whole lot from the edges, but looks that the scouting report, they seem to have seen something.
Yeah, and you can see that they've, for a couple of times now, or maybe more than that, they've looked for Hernandez Pruga to run those angles in there if they don't get that shot from in front of the back 4.
A fight for the ball, and a whistle comes in, and it will stay with Oxnard.
A little bit of dangerous fall, dangerous tackle there, which that's what we're going to see at this level. They're going to go in hard, and you look at that's one of the more mature players that Lake Tahoe has that sits in the back there. That was Jesse Anderson, who they called the foul on. He's out of Lincoln, England, outside right back.
Sent into the box, but sent right back out by Lake Tahoe. Lob pass looking on the far side, trying to find Jimenez. And too strong, and Lake Tahoe goes back on offense, approaching the 20th minute.
I think at this level, Jeff, one thing we see is that once you get your chances, you want to take them, because at this level there tends to be, when I say this level in the Final Four, there tend to be less chances and less opportunities because defensively teams tend to be better. And Oxnard has had a couple good ones. That set piece right there that they had from the left side of the field after the foul, they didn't quite have a good service into the box. So you want to be solid on that, be consistent with that, take every opportunity you can.
Yeah, oftentimes you see, cross sport, when you have opportunities early in a game, sometimes it breeds confidence, but sometimes maybe there's a little frustration as well at missed opportunities.
Right, and you'd hope that as a team, mature teams, that frustration doesn't build. They have that just momentum. Let's just keep momentum and not get frustrated with missed opportunities, and have that belief or sense that we're going to get it. We're going to get that goal. We're going to get the one to go one up, or if it's in a situation where maybe we need to tie the game. So that's how that's the fun thing about soccer is how the game evolves in 10 and 20-minute blocks and how it changes, especially when a goal gets scored.
We're still scoreless here. Oxnard. Herrera at midfield. Sends that one forward, and now they begin the attack. The pass again too strong. Looking for Gonzalez.
Some changes for Lake Tahoe. Michael Atkin here out on the left mid. I'm surprised he doesn't start more, but maybe it looked like he was nursing maybe a little hamstring issue, but really fast, a lot of pace out here. Technical player as well. He's dangerous. They also brought in a new center back and moved, I think it was Prieto, and they moved him up into the midfield. So, and Jarrell Cato back on. Jarrell Cato, a sophomore from England as well. So he's one of their little engines in the middle of the field, playing in front of that back 4.
Would you say the back line or midfield? Where do you think is the strength lies? In terms of units for Lake Tahoe when you've seen them.
Tahoe, I think it depends on the personnel they have on the field. Like right now, when I look at it, they move Sapset up top and Aiken out wide, but they have a lot of pace. The 99, the 2 have a lot of pace. They're solid at the back. They're strong at the back. They do well in the air, but I don't know that they have a lot of. They always have a lot of pace at the back, so I think you can get behind them. So I think it depends more on their personnel and the way they play with emotion and the physicalness that they play with.
Long pass and an opportunity out front, just in front, and the save by Andrades.
That's an absolutely beautiful ball from their back line, so they're not afraid once they possess it. If that ball's on, it's obvious that they're going to play it in behind the back 4 of Lake Tahoe.
So Lake Tahoe with a rare foray in the offensive end, and it's quickly sent outside and out of play. And it will stay with Tahoe, and it's Engler who will bring it in.
They're going to step and not put light pressure on here. He's going to look to serve long, and Oxnard's just going to try and stay behind the ball. Now they've got all their players, all 10 field players behind the ball, just trying to compress the game a little bit, compress the space, not give an easy service.
Yeah, is there a value here for Lake Tahoe in maybe just holding the ball?
I think that there is. I think that if they want to draw the team out, you know, they should be patient. If there's a ball that's not on, then I think it'd be wise for them to just hold on to it, not force the issue. There's a lot of time left in the match. We've got 67 minutes left.
Engler fights for the ball and keeps it, now drops it into the zone, finds Sapsed. Sapsed tries to put one off the left foot, but it's too high.
Offsides there on Sapsed. He got in behind, and Oxnard disciplined enough to just hold the line, listen to their center backs, and put Sapsed in the offside position.
So Oxnard in the blue uniforms. They'll work it from left to right here in the first half. And Lake Tahoe in the white jerseys.
What's phenomenal, actually, we haven't talked about the weather. No wind, sun, warm. A very different day than yesterday with driving. We had driving rain and cold and wind. So it's we missed it by a day, but phenomenal conditions and absolutely nothing to complain about here as far as conditions.
Is that something that can favor one team or another?
I honestly think the more difficult the conditions would be, it would favor Lake Tahoe. They played their last game, and it was 35 degrees, and it was cold. When they played us at Santa Rosa Junior College, the first 20 minutes, they made a tactically smart maneuver. They won the toss, and they took the wind. A front had blown through, and we had about 20 minutes of 20, 30-mile-an-hour winds. They took advantage of it, to their credit. They were able to hold the ball in our third, capitalize on a couple of our pretty poor mistakes and their aggressiveness, and it really worked to their advantage. I think Lake Tahoe would have an advantage from what they're used to doing if the weather was a little more it was a little more turmoil, a little
more inclement.
Yeah, that's the word we're looking for.
Well, the good news, if they can make it to Sunday, it's supposed to rain.
Yeah.
So perhaps.
And this is Oxnard weather, right? So this is SoCal weather here.
Yeah, perhaps something for them to look forward to if they can get past Oxnard as we roll into the 25th minute here in the opening half.
And they'll look for a long throw here from Danny Culverwell. And you see that as dangerous as a corner kick is, he's got that throw in that is incredibly dangerous. So anytime they get into the final third, he can serve the ball from a throw in into the box, which instantly makes Tahoe more dangerous. But also as a defensive unit for Oxnard, they have to be careful in terms of where they play the ball out of bounds.
And Oxnard had it for a moment, but Lake Tahoe able to maintain possession. They're working it out front, and this is Culverwell.
Trajecki here in the middle, he's good. I think if they find his feet, he's sort of a little engine in there. He can distribute really, really well. So I think they should look to find him more. And I would say, if I was coaching him, I'd ask him to hold the ball a little more and then find players and maybe a little less service than they're used to.
The shot there off of Aguilar and out of play, so Lake Tahoe maintains possession.
Tahoe with another corner kick here, and without Ivan Rodriguez, and especially from this side, the right-footed Jarrell Cato, who takes a lot of their free kicks when Rodriguez isn't in. He'll serve this ball likely to the back post.
Toward the back post, and the shot online, but cleared away.
And that's the best chance Tahoe has had, and that was a wide-open look for Danny Culverwell at the back post. And normally for him, that ball goes in the back of the net, but one of the Oxnard players on the back post, good positioning, good sound defensive, clears that ball off the line, and we're still 0-0 in the 28th minute. And if you notice now, Lake Tahoe sits a little bit higher in the field, trying to put a little bit higher pressure on the ball than Oxnard will. So this is where the depth that Lake Tahoe has is to their advantage. Their fitness and their depth, they want to press them a little bit, force them to play a little bit sooner. So a little change in tactics here maybe, and maybe we're starting to see a shift in the game.
See Engler getting a little more aggressive there with the near steal, but Oxnard maintains possession, now has it stolen on the far side and out of play.
So going back to the corner kick that Tahoe had, it was interesting to me that the big number 4, Culverwell for Tahoe, was unmarked, untouched at the back post, because any scouting report that you get on Lake Tahoe, you know that's where the service is going to go, and I'm surprised that they weren't trying to run him off the ball or shoulder him out a little bit, but he looks like he had a clear run on it, a clear jump, and that was a great opportunity.
Culverwell. Back to Engler.
now you see Oxnard stepping a little bit, maybe realizing that maybe they can put a little pressure on and win a ball. But interestingly enough, it's their front 3 players that are stepping and putting pressure, and there's a big seam between their 3 and then the other 7 guys behind them, and that could cause troubles later in the game.
Akin chases this one down in the corner, going to work on Aguilar.
There's a good service by Culverwell.
Attempted header, but it's cleared away instead by Oxnard. It seems in this latest block in the game that we're spending more time in the Lake Tahoe, the offensive zone.
Yeah, I would agree. Middle third of the field, offensive third for Tahoe, and you can see their level of pressure has come up, and there's a quick counterattack.
Counterattack and an opportunity for Oxnard. Shot just wide.
I think he got a save on that. I think there was a deflection off the defender, and then I think Andrades got a touch on that. So corner kick for Oxnard, and just as you said it, Jeff, we talk about Tahoe in the offensive third, and all of a sudden Oxnard looks quick. Great service forward to feet, takes on one player, gets inside, and that's where I think Oxnard's best bet is to run at those center backs and take their opportunities.
It was at Raul Gonzalez who had the opportunity. So they'll corner kick from the near side.
Oxnard has a player down at midfield right now, and with the lack of depth in their bench, I don't know that they can afford injuries at this point.
And was it Guzman who might be down? As we're into the 30th minute. And both teams in low-scoring games to advance here. We talked about the 0-0, the penalty kicks, victory over Feather River that punched Lake Tahoe's ticket, but it was a 1-0 victory over LA Mission for Oxnard, and the goal coming in the 19th minute, and then Oxnard doing a good job of holding on and closing it out.
Right, and it's pretty rare at this stage that you're going to see games that aren't close, 1-0, 2-1. We were in a 3-2 game with Tahoe, and that's one thing that they have done, that they score goals and they're dangerous, but they have been prone to have some games where they're giving up multiple goal games, and I think you just have to find the right seams and the right way to defend it, but they're going to have their chances for sure.
So they'll kick it short and start the offense. Navarro on the field. Drops it back in the corner. Gonzalez centering. Nobody home. Cleared out by Lake Tahoe, and we'll see if they can mount a counter.
Trujeke always good with the ball. Trujeke always good with the ball at his feet.
And it's Jarrell Cato. And it's the first that we're seeing of Cato among the team leaders in assists, among the leaders in the state.
Right, he's a good player. Right? He's one of the guys that I'm actually surprised he doesn't get more into the attack. He sits in front of the back 4, and I would look to find him. You know, if I was coaching the team, I'd look to find him a little bit more. I'd actually look to get him a little bit higher into the attack because of his pace and his ability to deliver a good service.
Trujeke in the corner to Akin. Centering pass. Nearly broken up, and an opportunity there for Lake Tahoe, but the whistle comes in.
And that foul on Tahoe's for not so much dangerous, but high boots there, you know, studs up showing. It's he's having a little word with him right now. He said, hey, I think he's giving him that's close to a yellow card, and to be honest with you, it probably is a yellow card straight away, but referee not willing to give it. It's dangerous with the boots up like that.
Was it Jesse Anderson then that they were catching on that as he came in to try and get a piece of that ball?
Absolutely.
So Oxnard begins the attack. Gonzalez has that one knocked away, nearly cleared, as both teams work to free the ball.
Oxnard's smooth on the ball. The terminology that I like to use when I talk with the guys a little bit, I said, you know, some of their players are greasy, means they're slippery, they're dangerous, and there you see it right there. Gets a touch around a player, steps back in front, draws a foul. Dangerous situation here again for Oxnard. Let's see if they take advantage of this situation.
Well, they'll get the free kick from just outside the box, and it looks like it'll be Navarro. Well, Navarro or Orozco. And obviously we'll see Lake Tahoe set up the wall.
I don't know if anyone can hear that behind us, but the
Yeah.
semifinal, the women's match is going on right behind us. So I think we've had a couple goals scored over there.
That sounds like a goal roar to me.
So Oxnard's 2 goal scorers, the number 9, the number 10, Navarro and
Hernandez
Puega on the ball right here with one other player. And so maybe we look for a little deception, maybe not.
Okay, it's Orozco who ends up booting it, and it's up over the crossbar. That might have been, yeah, I believe that was Orozco.
Yep, you're correct. And that's that's the second time that they've had a really good opportunity from 25 yards out, and they haven't gotten much from it. You know, idea here. I know he's not trying to miss it, but you got to put that ball on frame or make it dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's you know, it doesn't have to do anything if it misses the goal entirely, but maybe Orozco a little juiced up there. I think he got to get pretty good contact on that ball, but it's sailing overhead.
The other thing, too, is if they get a ball on frame, and one thing you shoot for is try to get it on frame, make the goalkeeper deal with it at least the first time he spills it and put pressure and follow up on the ball. So a couple good opportunities for Oxnard as well. So 35th minute right now, and we're still 0-0. Both teams have had good opportunities.
That one tried to, I should say that was Aachen trying to find the handle but couldn't. And here comes Oxnard, but Cato able to track it down.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get behind Cato with his pace. Well, that was interesting. Interesting enough, it was a bad bounce towards the top of the box there, and it was an awkward collision between the forward and the goalkeeper.
Andrades is still down, trying to get his feet. And that was a dangerous play. It was
a 50-50 ball, which was interesting because I don't think the Oxnard player was trying to draw contact. Interesting that Andrades, we've seen him and I've seen him play. He tends to get into situations like that and puts himself in danger of contact. You know, in that situation right there, it looked to be that he put himself in that dangerous situation, but he did clear it well because it took a funny hop as it bounced towards the top of the box. So he did well with it, but hopefully he doesn't have a knock here that puts him in danger.
So Andrade's coming in. Save percentage up at 91, and that placed him second in the North, so he had an outstanding season.
Absolutely outstanding season, and you know, I as a former goalkeeper myself, you know, you have to make the big saves, but you also have to give credit to your back four in front of you or your back six that sit in front of you and handle the game, and they do that really, really well for him.
Anderson couldn't quite get the handle, but Lake Tahoe ends up with it anyway. Here is Aachen with Rodriguez in front. Lake Tahoe setting it up. Truheke, touch pass back, and they lose the handle. Oxnard with the steal. Hernandez looking to counter, and he goes down.
He doesn't even call a foul. Wow.
Truheke in the center. Dropping it off, and here comes Lake Tahoe.
Interesting no call there in the middle third of the field.
Brian Panamino making his first appearance. Lob pass into the box, heading out of bounds.
That's that back post service that Tahoe is always looking for, that they're going to be dangerous with through the entire match.
Culverwell. Here's Rodriguez. Rodriguez leads the team in assists, but he's been pretty quiet here today so far.
He has been quiet, and I'm surprised. He's a guy that plays 80 or 90 minutes a match, and he sat off for a little bit. So maybe they're trying to save some of their horses to get deeper into this game. Maybe it's strategic, but he plays in different places. I've seen him play anywhere from up top where he is now, outside midfield or left outside mid. I haven't even seen him play late in the game when they're up a goal. They'll put him at left back because he's that good a player. He's versatile. He can serve a ball. He's strong. He's fast. I think he's one of their best players, actually.
Well, he certainly had the outstanding year.
Yep.
To go with the scouting report.
Yeah.
I think the numbers bear you out.
And if you look at him, we looked at him, and one of the guys said, I don't remember playing against him last year. And I said, well, he's got a new hairstyle. So our joke was that he's got the best hair in the North right now, going with that kind of shiny silver blonde hairdo.
Hey, listen, as a guy who's following all the names here, I appreciate anything that makes him distinctive.
It's easy.
There's nothing wrong with standing out for me.
Jarrell Cato with the pink shoes, you can see some of that.
Yeah.
So I think they should all have their own different color shoes, and it makes it easier for us, Jeff.
You know, I'd like to believe that they just know they have a really big roster, and they're just trying to do us a favor.
Yeah.
So listen, we need to make ourselves more distinctive.
A lot of names and a lot of numbers.
Oxnard mounting an attack. And a lot of contact, no call again. They seem to be letting them play. Aachen at midfield looking for Rodriguez, streaking down the near side. Aguilar is there with him. Rodriguez holding.
Aguilar doing a nice job to stand Rodriguez up and eliminate service, which is if you can just stand him up and keep him from serving the ball, they've done a really nice job because him and Cato and Sapset are three of the guys that will serve the ball better than anybody on that team.
Meanwhile, Truheke's shot sent away, and it was Orozco sending it out of play, so it'll be a corner kick, and it will be Rodriguez, and to my memory, this is the second corner kick.
This is the second corner kick for Rodriguez from that side, and Cato had one from this side. Well, the first one got served to the near post, so we wonder now if he's gonna. That was a little bit of a deception, and they'll look to go to the big number 4 on the back post, Danny Culverwell. And there's
Rodriguez sends it right looking for the back post, unable to get a shot off.
You see it there. They're looking for Culverwell at the back post, and as he jumped, interestingly, he just put his hands down on the Oxnard player's shoulders. Interestingly, they just gave a goal kick and not a foul there.
Approaching the 40th minute in a scoreless game. And we remind you that we have simultaneous coverage of the men and the women over on SoCal College Sports 2. The women's semifinals here in the 2015 CCCAA Soccer Championships here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Aachen finding Truheke. Engler has returned.
Tahoe done a nice job of putting pressure on them right off that goal kick, and they're holding them back into their own end right now. So Oxnard's struggling a little bit to get out of the back third.
Yeah, the second half of this first half, certainly it appears as though Lake Tahoe has stepped it up. This one's sent back out toward midfield. Culverwell finds Engler.
I think Tahoe's taking the game over here a little bit.
Trying to set up an attack, and that one poked free by Orozco. And that will make a Lake Tahoe reset. Sapset in a crowd. He still has the ball. Tries to let one go with the left foot, and it's blocked out front. We'll see if a counter's coming. Here's Hernandez. Sends one ahead. It's a 2-on-2. Down the far side, and no shot. Navarro trying to mount the counter, but a good job getting back, and I believe that was Sapset, or
that was Culverwell.
Culverwell getting back.
There we see, and that's the danger you see in a game. And I think Oxnard's sitting back trying to absorb a bit of the pressure. And what happens is Tahoe's outside backs get forward and get sucked in, and all of a sudden if they get dispossessed, and Oxnard counters with 3, and now Tahoe's chasing the game a little bit.
Do you detect a speed difference? Particularly on the front line with the counter between the two teams?
Yeah, I think both teams have good pace up front, but I think that Oxnard has better pace up front relative to Tahoe's back 4. And we've seen that. We've seen them get behind, and we've seen them get through on angles, so they have to take advantage of that at some point to be able to get one.
Rodriguez trying to send one to the far side, and instead it goes back to Oxnard.
So Oxnard, as we were talking about, I was thinking that Tahoe was getting more of the play, a quick counterattack. They get a corner kick and then get a chance off a corner kick as well. So Oxnard is still content with what they do. You can tell they're still confident. As a team, they're compact.
Truheke with the block, but back to Garcia. So Oxnard maintains possession. They'll go back to work in the 42nd minute. Still showing pressure, and that one yields a turnover potentially. Truheke fighting for the ball.
Sometimes Oxnard's gotten a little bit casual with the ball, and with like Tahoe's pace and their speed, I think they sort of invite a ball to be played into space, or invite a ball to be played into a certain place and then put pressure on it, and they've done a nice job of that.
Elisa Rares, the pass offline, and the ball is loose, and we have a whistle. Lake Tahoe player down. So the ball back to Lake Tahoe. They'll set up Rodriguez.
Like a dangerous, I don't know if they called that from behind or what the angle was on that, but yellow card issued to Oxnard.
And that's the first of the game.
I think that's the referee starting to see a little bit more of the, we call it chippy play, or a little bit more of the they take liberties on certain tackles, and at a certain point they have to kind of level that and say, all right, guys, it's
And as that is, the classic example of that is where you see in baseball with the pitcher sort of testing the strike zone, getting a sense of what's going to be called a strike and what's going to be called a ball. Do the players sense that and how the game is being called? And it's like, well, they'll kind of increase the physical play until they get the foul call to get a sense of where it's going to be?
Absolutely. I think they'll test the game a little bit to come out and, hey, I'm gonna if I get an opportunity, I'm not gonna do dirty foul, but it's gonna be a good hard foul, and see what the referee, how he handles it. And if they let a certain thing go, they'll continue to stretch the limit a little bit until they find where that limit is, and that's not uncommon at any level, especially for mature players.
Looked like Cooksey couldn't find the handle, but it's out of play to Oxnard, so Oxnard able to maintain possession. So we're into the 43rd minute. We should see some extra time.
Yeah, I think they just announced at least 4 minutes, so we'll see what the referee decides to give here.
Meanwhile, Andrades will start it back the other way for Lake Tahoe with the left foot.
And one thing we haven't talked about is an advantage for Lake Tahoe that I don't know that a lot of teams think about or people think about it, but with my background understanding, these guys live and train at 6,000 feet altitude. So they've been there, even the guys that are just moved there in August, they've been there for 4+ months, training there, living there, and to come down at sea level, there's an advantage. I mean, they've got a deep roster, not only deep roster, but coming and training at altitude to come down to sea level, maybe not as big of an advantage when teams go up to them, but to come down to sea level is a big advantage, or can be a big advantage if it's utilized correctly.
Yeah, and we've talked about that Oxnard really dominated the action early in the game, but it's been more and more Lake Tahoe with control, as Oxnard has it right now. So perhaps that's starting to tell, though it's still very early,
right.
Talking about the first half.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me to see that the deeper that this game goes, the more that maybe Lake Tahoe, once they have the ball, they're going to hold it a little bit more because maybe they're a little more fit, or they take advantage of that, the living and training at 6,000 feet of altitude.
Hernandez loses it to Engler, so Lake Tahoe mounting a counter. No numbers. And the pass broken up back to Oxnard. It was Panamino looking to send it out to the far side. And a cross-field pass and into the Lake Tahoe zone. Oxnard, time enough perhaps for another assault. Aguilar working in the offensive zone, tries to drop one into the box, but it's cleared out.
Aguilar's been very good on the ball, and I'm impressed with how calm Oxnard is when they do possess it. They don't seem to get rattled by anything, and I think they do a really, really nice job.
Hernandez goes down, but no foul called.
Referee just assuming there was a dive there and no foul. So they're trying to get one.
Gonzalez working to his left, and it's Rodriguez coming in to poke it free, but Gonzalez maintains possession, now loses the handle in the box.
And Oxnard's so quick on the ball.
Truheke.
Raul Gonzalez there actually, turned Engler around, and I think Engler turned his ankle when he did that. So it was one of those moves you call them like Steph Curry move when they're calling jab step someone and the guy they call it an ankle breaker when they fall over.
Yeah. If it was a Steph Curry move, I believe he would have to shoot the ball into a net that was about a foot or two wide.
And get 3 points for it.
Yeah, I think so, but it was a lot of Steph Curry there. Oxnard into the Lake Tahoe zone.
There they are finding those seams in front of the back four again. They're running at Culver well, and he's done a nice job actually defending that. So kudos to both teams there for keeping at it.
It was Joseph Hernandez trying to drive, but he had it knocked loose, and now Lake Tahoe goes back to work. Touch pass just outside the box. Cleared out. Truheke with the right foot. Curving shot and an easy stop for Garcia. So Truheke gets one on goal, but not a lot on it.
And Garcia calm in the back. In the goal, he's played I think 23 games. He's played all the matches for Oxnard, so comfortable there. Sophomore, so has a lot of games under his belt, a lot of experience. And we should be coming up to the end of this first half right now. As we are in extra time. Right?
We are in extra time, I should say. Yes, exactly, in the first half.
I think the big difference in the two teams, Isaac, to get an opportunity going forward here.
Hernandez working against Engler, and he gets a foot on it, but he's just wide with the shot. The one-timer from Hernandez.
What I was going to say, sorry, Jeff, is that the one big difference is that Tahoe has gotten some of their better opportunities from set pieces, where Oxnard is getting their opportunities out of the run of play, just like we saw right there.
Yeah, a few counters have really produced the best opportunities. It would seem for Oxnard here in the first half, with the likes of Navarro and Hernandez and Gonzalez getting some opportunities. But so far, nobody able to get one in goal as we're in extra time, and that will do it for the first half. Scoreless through one half of play here in semifinal number 1. It's the 2015 CCCAA Soccer Championships on SoCalCollegeSports.com.